What up, world? It's your boy Jaystar back again, man. We got the top 5 at quarterback for the week 11 slate here, man. And like I told y'all with the top 5 this week, I'm doing something a little bit different, basically kind of the same thing, but we trying to just get the right people, man, for sure, y'all. So as much as possible with notes, you know what I mean? Like we know I've been giving y'all top fives basically with just fantasy points. But like I said, I saw something for the last 2 weeks, and I told y'all if it became successful in any type of way, for sure, then I'll start updating notes and things like that when I give y'all videos and to help y'all out, So like I said, completion percent has showed to be a big deal, man, in quarterback play and fantasy points. Like for really looking at completion percent and then looking at the fantasy points that they supposed to get, it usually goes to show like the higher completion percent, the more the chance that that quarterback really gets those type of fantasy points that we see. So at number 5 this week, it's going to have to go to Jalen Hurts, because the Colts maybe at fantasy points, I don't know if they was really super high at fantasy points. I think they was probably in the I want to say 19 to 18 range or something like that in fantasy points, but they are 5th in completion percent. So that's why Jalen Hurts makes it at number 5, because that's a high completion percent. And we know when Jalen Hurts is completing his passes, we know what type of fantasy points we're going to see from him more than likely. We know also this is a 4-3 defense, so they are going to have a man defense. But that means, your back will be to Jalen Hurts. And unless they're going to have a spy on him, he can just break out the pocket and run and get about 40 to 50 yards, maybe a rushing touchdown. So that's going to be in play too. But as well as that, like I said, the completion percent will be high. So with that in mind, I feel like he's in for a big game, and that's why he makes it at number 5, man, on the top 5. At number 4 this week, man, I'm going with, man, I know y'all not gonna like this one, but it's Russell Wilson, man. And I know he's failed everybody. Let's click this there. Okay, so everybody has been failed. But like I said before, Vegas Raiders, man, was his best game of the whole season. So, I think he put up like 20 probably points against Seattle, but his closest to getting 30 was against the Raiders. And it's because completion percent is number 1 in the league. So maybe he should be number 1 on this list, but it's Russell Wilson, and I don't know if I can really give that to him. And it's crazy because Russell used to be one of the best at completion percent anyways. His QBR rating used to be super high, but this year has been a struggle. But maybe, maybe not having a Judy or something like that, maybe a less weapon out there, and being, because his favorite weapon anyways has always been Sutton anyway. So, maybe having one less weapon actually benefits him. Maybe him just throwing to Sutton and also maybe some Greg Dolches. I don't know if he'll throw to Hamler, at all. But yeah, maybe those two alone, just he has his biggest game and throws another 2 touchdowns, possibly gets near to a 300-yard game or something like that. But yeah, just going against a rivalry at home, against the Raiders, and I feel like, both of these teams are pretty whack and struggling, but it definitely just seems like Russell could have a big game against them still. If he was gonna have any just one more good game for the rest of the season, it would be against the Raiders, y'all, since they're first in completion percent. So that's why he makes it at my top 5 at number 4 this week. Then at number 3 though, who I got at number 3? So we got the man who's won the last 2 slates basically, right? 45 and 43 in Justin Fields. So he's in for, a big day if he can complete some passes to them receivers for once, man. Like, he's been having big days without it, though. Without completing to those receivers. I'm just saying receivers because we know Atlanta gives up most of the fantasy points to receivers. But his number 1 receiver is going to be Komet, I guess. And, he's been doing, pretty well with just throwing to Komet anyways. So, also as well as rushing the ball. I don't know if we're going to be in for a 100-yard rushing game for him. I knew for sure we was going to get it against Detroit. I told y'all he was a cheap running back. So I told y'all lock him in as a naked play. I didn't even think he was going to need, a receiving option for him. I just thought he would get there. And he really did kind of get there, period. You could have just had him. If you wanted to have Kelsey or some other tight end that might have had a decent score, you could have hit with that too as well. But I just knew he was a cheap running back. Now he's went up to the price where I thought, he should have been at last week. And I don't really know for sure if he's going to get a 40. I think he's definitely in for about a 28 fantasy point, maybe near 30. But the completion percent here is, what is it, at second in the league, y'all. So he should still be able to complete the plays that he's been completing to who was that, Komet. I also think though Mooney, he might be able to complete a few more catches to Mooney, man. So that could be the reason why we looking at maybe a 3 touchdown game for Fields in this game. Possibly getting back to close to 45. But like I said, I just think the 100-yard rushing that we have seen for the last 2 weeks, and you got to think that's an extra 3 points, added to that. It's an automatic 15 points, period. Once he hits that 100 yards rushing. So I think we don't get that. I think he probably rushes probably about 80 yards, something like that. I don't know how many rushing touchdowns I think he's going to get, but I do think he still has a big game though. So that's why he makes it on my list at number 3. At number 2 this week is who we got here. Just a little bit below him, we got Burrow, man. I really like Burrow, man. I think this is a good spot for him. It's just that it is a rivalry. And I know the only team I know for sure that Burrow goes up against and plays great is Baltimore. He seems to turn up, but it's also because Chase usually turns up. So, not having Chase, in this game could a little bit make him struggle. But Pittsburgh's defense has been exploitable to passing. Percent wise though, I think they're actually kind of pretty lower than most of the other teams that I went over, but they still kind of up there too at the same time. So it's just really on, is Burrow going to lean on throwing more in this game, because the last game we did see, go to Mixon a whole lot, got 5 touchdowns there. I think it will be harder for Mixon to do that against Pittsburgh, and I think they probably will be focused on Mixon because what they saw Mixon just do in that last game, which could end up opening up, I feel like Burrow's receivers, and we can get back to what we saw, with Higgins and things like that. I want to say the game before, what was that? The game before we had 6 targets. Oh, he had 8 targets last game. So I just think he probably should be more in for like a what I want to say, like maybe 11 to 10 targets, thrown to his receivers in this game, just because the completion percent is still kind of up there, and they have been giving up fantasy points though to quarterbacks. So that's why Burrow makes it at number 2 this week. At number 1 this week though, we got just a little bit below him, and it's Dak Prescott, y'all. So Dak makes it at number 1, man. Coming off back-to-back pretty good games for him too as well though, like 26 and 21 fantasy points is not bad. But the only thing, he's played 2 teams that don't really give up a lot of yards. So he actually did really well against Packers, because I think they've been giving up only like 15 fantasy points, and he got to 21. And that wasn't even, he didn't have to rush in a touchdown. He actually got there through the pass, but he did throw 2 interceptions, so that took away 2 points there. Chicago is not a team really that you kind of pass. It's more a rushing team, which Pollard did amazing because they do give up the rush. But he actually did very well there. I know he rushed in a touchdown, so 6 of those points was from the rushing touchdown, so he got to 20 kind of without it. But this game here against Minnesota, they giving up yards. They're giving up crazy amount of yards, and not only just that, they're 7th in the league in completion percent. So he should have a very great day in completion percentage. Looking at probably over 80% of his passes, I would feel like he hits on, and so definitely he's in for a bigger game, man. I feel like he also probably gets at least 2 touchdowns for sure. If not, if he rushes in one again, because this is a huge game, man. Minnesota's only lost 1 game. I definitely, this could be a game, if Dallas does make the playoffs, they could end up matching up against Minnesota and have to play them probably more than likely at their home, since their record is really good. So this is a big game to see how good Dallas really is. So I expect a huge game out of Dak because of that, and that's why he's at number 1. Who missed the cut here, y'all, for this week? Looks like, who we got, man? So it looks like it's Andy Dalton. Let's see. So Andy Dalton down here, 5,300. Yeah, just missed the cut for Andy Dalton. I mean, he's just, you don't know what you're really going to get from Andy Dalton. That's probably why he missed the cut. But he is going against the 6th in completion percent team. So at least his completion percent should be up there. Having Jarvis does help a lot too. That makes you at least feel more comfortable with maybe he hits for 2 touchdowns at least in this game. It's kind of hard when you have less of your weapons out there, no Michael Thomas and no Jarvis. and everybody's basically doubling Olave. They've seen so much film on them throwing to Olave for big plays, so they've been trying to take that away from them. But having Jarvis, I think, kind of opens that back up. So and he's not doubled as much, maybe, or maybe it's just Jarvis steps up and maybe some Kamara as well. But so yeah, Andy Dalton is in play though. But like I said, just missed the cut here, man, for this list. It's your boy Jaystar, man. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out, y'all. Peace.